Hey everybody, Mao here, and I don't usually make a lot of videos. I'm not really much of a filmmaker, but I got something really interesting today. This is the ASSA Twin Exclusive. Twin Exclusive. And I know what you're thinking. Isn't this lock the ASSA Twin Exclusive with the undercut keyway and the E on the key? And the answer is yes, this lock is the Twin Exclusive, and so is this lock. ASSA named two completely unrelated locks both the Twin Exclusive, and I don't know why they did this, but this lock, the one everybody's familiar with, is the model 6800. This is the one that's backwards compatible with the regular Twin 6000. But this lock is the model 5700, and it's a completely unrelated standalone lock. And most people have never heard of this lock. And well, part of the reason for that is that if you go into Google and you type in ASSA Twin Exclusive, all you get is results about this lock. So that doesn't help. But more than that, this lock was only produced and distributed for ASSA Abloy's Baltic division, which, if you're not a geography nerd, the Baltic region is 3 countries, Estonia, Lithuania, and Latvia, and they have a combined population of around 6 million people. So there's already not a huge market for this lock, but even worse than that, this lock was only produced for a few years before it was discontinued. So is there anything in this lock that's special? Yes, there is. And I'm going to cut the video and take it apart and show you all the guts and how this lock works and why anybody should care about it. Alright, I've got the lock all taken apart, so I guess let's start with the most boring notes about it and work towards the more interesting ones. So interestingly, this lock is actually new enough to use this closing rod construction, which is usually found on their D12s, which I much prefer to those stupid permanent pressed-in plugs that you have to punch out and then tap and put set screws in there yourself. And the back of this lock actually doesn't use those stupid bendy clips. It actually has a regular tailpiece that's held on by these little Torx screws. So if you look at the pin tumblers for this lock, let me grab one. They're just very typical ASSA barrel pins, nothing really to see there. I was hoping for some more exotic driver pins, but oh well. And of course, if you look at the plug, if I can zoom in to capture this, it has actually the older style of the barrel countermilling with those 2 deep scores. It actually has this little installation hole for those Scandinavian round cylinders, because this is a Scandinavian format. Standard ASSA drill protection there and there, but also the extra piece of V10 drill protection that they started adding right here, which you can actually see in the spring hole for the sidebar. And your slots for your 5 side pins and your regular 6 pins. The keyway on this lock is actually quite mild. You can very easily get a pick up there to reach the main pin tumblers. Although the bottom is actually much narrower than most of their other twin locks. I had to use my super tiny ABUS EC75 flag to really be able to try to lift those side pins. And much like the other series of ASSA twin locks, the bitting for the sidebar is actually on the sidebar itself, and all of these side pins are identical. They have a pretty wide true gate in the middle with false gates above and below it. Hollowed out on the top for the spring. Oddly, this has more false gates above the true gate than below it, and I don't really know why that is. And this is actually a completely unique side pin. It's not shared by the Twin Pro or the Twin Maximum or anything like that. So I guess you can't lose these. But the really interesting part about this lock is the sidebar, because even though this looks like a regular sidebar, this is not a regular ASSA Twin sidebar. If you look closely, these fences in the sidebar are actually quite a bit taller than they usually are, and that's because they've put this serration in the middle of them. I don't know how well that comes out on the camera here. And it's just the perfect height to be able to grab into these tabs that separate the false gates. And it locks it up pretty well. You really can't just force it up like you can with the Twin Pro or Twin V10 series sort of sidebar to side pin designs. And another thing that's weird about this is that there's only 4 heights, presumably because the increased height required to fit this fence on there made 5 heights not possible. So it is the same sort of thing as the pre-coated sidebars for the regular Twin series, but just 4 heights instead of 5. And if you look at the key, on the back of the key here, this is just the bitting. It's encoded in their weird lookup table. They stamp K84 of what I'm assuming is the sidebar code, and this is just key number 1 out of all the keys that came with this lock. And here's a close-up of the side pin cuts. You can see 2 of them are max lift. There's one min lift, and then there's kind of a mid-high and mid-low with the front and back of the key. But I don't know why they discontinued this. This is, I think, is a really clever design. This is the real interesting part about this lock, is that they put so much extra effort into making this sidebar. These sidebars, even the regular ASSA Twin ones, are quite a marvel of machining to make these things. I don't really know how they do it, but this is an even more step forward with this serration or counter milling in the middle of the fence that's designed to snag the side pins. Well, that's about it. That's all I had on this lock. I just thought it was really cool. ASSA Twin Exclusive.